infantry coming in. Down one.
I'm not finished the fight.
Ah, damn it. Let me guess. Unauthorized optic. Not zeroed. Square your stuff together, man.
And he in whom I trust.
Better shots in Chinatown than you.
My high tower and my whom I trust.
Alright,
Should I keep my aviation gloves on?
if you want.
It's period incorrect.
Oh, well.
We can't have that though, right?
Yeah, definitely can't have that.
So sehr kalt hier.
Kalt.
Kalt, sehr kalt. Oh, Scheiße, I should not speak in this English. Excuse me, everybody.
Stop it, dude. This is one that I think a lot of people have been waiting a long time for. Henry.
I have been waiting a long time for this one.
All right, bud. Let's get things rolling.
All right, so Private Jackson kept taking his scope off. That's probably why that last scene looked that way in Saving Private Ryan series.
All right, 150. Impact. Impact.
Do you know where it was hitting?
Yeah, they're right across the center. See that big black cluster left of center?
Yeah.
That's where they are.
All right.
Okay, I'm over at 2.
Heavy winds.
Indeed. Impact. Good elevation, just left of center. Impact. $250. Impact. Left quadrant. Upper chest. Impact.
I push it farther right.
Be honest, I couldn't tell on that shot.
Okay. It's cold.
Okay, 300.
300. Got it.
Off the left edge. Press right. Half target.
Okay.
Impact. Impact. Those are bottom edge.
Okay. All right, I'll start giving it a little bit more elevation. So it's a difficulty with this system. Unlike the German, the Soviet system, this is a single point aim. So basically I zeroed it at a 350 distance, and I'm slowly working it up. That last one, we were starting to see the effects of the wind though, weren't we? Okay.
Okay, 350.
350, I'm going to aim off to the right, just like half a target.
Impact is on the right edge, lower quadrant.
Oh, man.
Impact, upper chest.
All right.
Impact was pretty close to the neck. All right, I'm on at 4.
400.
Impact, good elevation, left edge. Impact, upper chest, right half.
Okay. All right, so these next ones I'm gonna have to start aiming it off target a bit.
All right, let's see it. 450. Impact, center. Impact, just next to the last shot. Very good.
Nice.
Okay. 500. Just underneath it, Henry. Come up half target. Good windage. Impact, bottom right quadrant. Impact.
Woo!
Very good.
Only one miss. Single point of impact.
only
Was that
one?
easy though, Josh?
Two, sir.
Two. That's right. That was not easy, but I think that, to me, tells me that the base rifle is plenty accurate enough. It's the sighting system that I really wish were different. Which, if you had the unauthorized sight that Jackson had, with elevation adjustment possibility, yeah, very, very nice shooting rifle. But that just tells me one thing, Josh.
Is it time to try to go further?
I think the Nazi Hun is a little bit further up upon the other side of the bayou.
Do you want to go to the 570 first?
Yeah.
All right. I am on 570. Just short, come up half target, press right, quarter target. It was on the left edge. Short again, that was actually worse. That was a full target short.
Okay.
Impact.
All right.
Sweet.
So is there another one a little bit farther out?
680.
Are we feeling a little hungry? We want some turkey dinner?
Yeah, bud. We can go for the bird.
All right, we'll go for the American bird.
Came in good windage. Came in short. Come up. Basically 3/4 of a target. Just underneath the tail feathers. Come up another half target. Impact in the buttocks.
All right. So destroy the drumsticks a little bit, but we still have dinner. Josh, I mean, are you satisfied with just this?
Dude, let's send another one further. Let's see what we can do.
I think I see hands at 800. Was that the Germans?
Fear not. Things are just getting blown over in the wind. It's fine.
It's only 28-mile-an-hour gusts today with a 2.5x optic. Don't worry.
All right. I'm on at 830.
All right. Ready?
That was 3 targets short.
Okay.
Just at the bottom left edge. Press right, half target, come up, half target. Pretty sure it was an impact. If not, it was a splash at the base of the plate.
You want another one?
Yeah, you could try coming up just maybe another half target. All right, that was a splash at the base of the plate on the right edge, so I think that first one was probably still short. No call. Impact.
Woohoo! 800. Ladies and gentlemen, the 03a4. Honestly, for the use case that the U.S. Army had for this thing, it was adequate because it was used more of a platoon. I mean, it was a platoon marksman role that the U.S. military took. Of course, you didn't have the same doctrine that the Germans, the British, or the Russians did. You didn't have the sniper schools that they did, and so in a platoon setting, if you were to have one guy with this out there from the 0 to 5, definitely more capable than the M1. Granted, this is not the original optic, it's a stand-in optic. It's the K2.5 that I'm using is a bit, it's not nice for all modern use case, but it's nicer than the original optic that came with these things. That was much more of a soda straw. That said, the action is beautiful on this. This is an original barrel. And so we are using nicer ammunition than what guys were issued back then. But still, Josh, 800.
You got it. I think the plate is sitting on the ground.
Yeah?
Because when it hit, like, the plate really didn't. It just...
It's a rather heavy-set Kraut officer out there.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. He took a couple rounds to take
that's
down.
That's still pretty impressive for a 2.5 power optic. Without dials, right? You're just holding over in space.
Just holding over
good.
under, using reference point around. 28-mile-an-hour gusts today. It's a capable rifle. 30-06 is a capable sniper round. Should we have kept it?
Yes.
Shall we discuss in the debrief?
Yes.
Haha.
Which part?
Oh, well, hello there. I didn't see you. You must have stumbled upon me enjoying the sunshine of the day as I was bird watching with my M1903 sniper weapon system. Now, I hope you're enjoying the content thus far, because content like this is made possible not only by Slate Black Industries, but by the patrons of Patreon. Well, that's true. They are our main support, financially, intellectually, and most importantly, emotionally. They make content like this possible. And I'd like to invite you to come along and become one of the patrons of Patreon, along our journey of exploration of firearms technology and what we can do with these weapon systems. And if not, it's okay. But that's enough with this. Let's get on with the show.
Welcome into the debrief. The only thing we were missing, Henry, it was the church bell tower. That's the only thing that we were missing here. We had everything perfect. Maybe some sort of a Panzer or Sturm firing at you. You know, one of those things. But missing those, aside from that, what a perfect recreation, you know?
Yeah, well, okay, so I struggle to say that because there's a certain nerddom in me that knows that this optic is technically incorrect despite duplicating the original 03A4 does, and also you can clearly tell that this is a reproduction. But as far as capabilities wise, we use proper M2 loading cartridges, and this is what you see. I mean, all things considered, 2.5 by optic, shooting out to that distance.
Pretty sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you entertained?
Especially, remind me, is the reticle in this the fine,
Yes.
like horsehair
Yes.
style reticle?
The worst.
Yeah, that's very challenging too. I mean, how was that? I mean, just hitting that straight away. We can get into all the history and whatever behind the gun, but like, how was that?
I'll put it this way. Of all these sniper rifles that we've done, this is probably the only bolt-action sniper rifle you can actually legitimately clear rooms with because the magnification is so low. Which in the movie, clearly there is a scene, the standoff with the Germans. Barry Pepper was holding a sniper rifle and yelling across, training one of his reticles on one of the Germans, presumably. And I would presume that his reticle is probably in focus because the magnification is so low. Clearly, okay, so there's been multiple guys who's razzed on the inaccuracies of Saving Private Ryan and the 03a4. You remember when during the GWAT era, snipers were godlike in pop culture. It's almost hard to fathom the lack of training and the lack of equipment that our snipers once upon a time had in the field. And I have said it publicly on this show, and I will say it again, that the U.S. snipers were some of the most poorly equipped snipers in World War II. But I also don't think they were employed as true snipers as the Soviets and the Germans, and dare I say even the Japanese were running snipers. So it's difficult to say, it's difficult to believe the development arc that our snipers have gone from this to the Vietnam era, the M70 era snipers, where you really started focusing on using precision bolt action rifles with good adjustable scopes, and then progressing that to the M24, M21, M110, M110A1, and currently nowadays when we're using things like the Mark 22 has a boo-boo on it where it fires itself. But that is beside the point. The amount of training also has changed significantly that our snipers receive nowadays. So this, I feel like, is a really big story that we're really going to have to take a very small intersection and save some time to razz Barry Pepper's character, Jackson, in the movie Saving Private Ryan. Beloved character, but some inaccuracies. But anyways, what do you think of when you see this silhouette?
I think in the space, it is like in the gun space, at least for me, as somebody who's not super into C&R stuff, but I would say it's the one that's like the hardest to come by, or at least when we were coming up into the gun world, it was like you could get Mosins easily, you could kind of get Mausers easily, and Enfields were a little bit harder but around, but you never would go into a gun shop and see one of these, right? Like that's sort of what this evokes in my memory.
Yeah, and in the pre-YouTube era, where we would watch DVDs of old movies, and that's what we did. We went to the range, we came back, we cleaned guns, and we would watch DVDs. And Saving Private Ryan was one of those staples, and this was one of the prime characters. And then you flip on History Channel, and it would be The Tale of the Gun. You would get shows like that would talk about rifles like this. This, sir, is the classic amongst our era, growing up around our pop culture era. And the other thing too, it's in a lot of video games.
Mm-hmm. Definitely true. Yes.
But I would say, if I were a sniper back then, I would choose the arch nemesis. I know. Very, very upsetting to some people. But I think, how can I put this? Taking this rifle into the field, when you shoulder it, it's certainly more comfortable than the 98K because you actually have a cheek weld. But the downside, the original 03A4s, when they developed them, because they were trying to push out the M1 Garand snipers. Now, we've shot the M1C. That performed incredibly. But that is a difficult process, taking a top-charging semi-auto and turning it into a sniper. The Soviets, I would say, with the SVT-40 sniper, they certainly were ahead of the game when it came to trying to make a semi-auto sniper system. They made a better system than all the other people of that era, but the crux is the SVT-40 wasn't incredibly accurate. So it was much easier to take systems that we currently had, well, of that era, and put an optic on it instead of using a top charging system and a side mounted sniper scope. But then the initial optic that we had settled for was the M73, the Lyman Alaskan. But Lyman was unable to manufacture that amount of optic for World War II to fulfill the contract. So they ended up taking off the shelf Weaver 330s. which was that soda straw. I think it was actually less than 2.5. I think it was two. Correct me in the comments. 2.25 or 2.75x. It's a BB gun optic, and they put it onto a real rifle, and they took away the actual sights of the real rifle to accomplish of having a very inline sighting system. I would be very upset if I were the GI. If I were the GI in the field, and they gave me a rifle with a very poor optic with no backup iron sights. So, could I have done that, Josh? Of course, yeah. Of course I could have done that. But I also wanted to actually shoot this and give this a fighting chance on the show. So I opted for a Weaver K 2.5, which this would be closer to, if you found something like this, it would be closer to like a Korean War era sniper, maybe using something commercial off the shelf. Although the Korean War era, they also started using the M84, which was the M1D optics that had a little, like, it had an elevation dial on top. It's very distinct. It's got the little turn style top that you could see. So all in all, it was such a shame because they had a really good rifle, and I've always complained about the 03 sight, the 1903 sights. If I were the GI, I would be like, oh, this is my opportunity. This is the opportunity to redeem the sights on. Oh no, you, sir, and I came out with this.
I just want to circle back to this for a second. Like, functionally, when you're shooting with an optic without elevation adjustment, right? Extra, like, this has been, and the rifle's very accurate, right? I think we have a how accurate episode on this, and it's about a 2-inch gun with extended string, right? Even a little bit bigger, but maybe in some ammo types, but not bad. Very serviceable.
But you need to remember, though, these were not bedded rifles. These are standard service rifles. It's not like an M21 where you spend a lot of gunsmith work on it.
So,
well, you do for the mount, but that's beside the point.
But like very acceptably accurate rifle, one that you can easily hit out to like the 500-600 yard target lines with in terms of functional accuracy of the rifle. But the limitation on the sighting system is so severe. Basically, you're looking through the soda straw at these fine little lines and just throwing them up over the target somewhere, right? Like, I think you only dropped 2 shots on the entire course. And that, to me, is the most impressive part of this whole run, was like, you're just Kentucky windaging everything off of a base crosshair and actually able to collect hits. And they're not full torsos, right? They're like mini, not mini, but they're reduced C-zone targets. So it's like, you can't even really do like a upper chest, head, hat type of aiming scheme because the scaling isn't right. So it's that's the most impressive part of this to me. It was like watching how few shots you dropped, sort of just, I'm just holding it in space out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun recreational activity. It is not a fun combat activity, I would say.
So what you're telling me is that the Private Jackson shot at 400 yards into the bell tower right through the other sniper's optic.
Pure luck.
Pure luck.
Oh, unless you're Jackson. Clearly this country boy is, has a hand of God and knows he's a prayer, that's how it works. His prayers are answered every single time he goes, takes his shot, and God answers his prayer. There is entertainment, which I was very entertained by Saving Private Ryan. But as I delve into some of these things, I mean, doing projects like this, hanging out with all the academics that we hang out with, it certainly takes away from some of that movie magic that we see out there. And are we at the point where we're starting to razz some of the things that happens in there, or are we still talking about that? It is difficult for sure, because I think the day of, I just confirmed 0 at 300, right? That morning. I confirmed 0 at 300 with you, and I dropped like a shot or 2 at 500, and I said, let's go, because I was trying to then do a modified chest head hat with a more extended distance. Basically, knowing that with a very low height of bore, my 0 to 3 is going to be pretty close to point of impact.
Yeah,
at
max
that point.
max ord in general, it was pretty negligible. Yeah.
Yeah. So part of this, we wouldn't be able to do it if this was 2018 9-hole reviews. We didn't have that experience to do it. I mean, we didn't have the shooter spotter dialogue. And I would also add that in World War II, with a lack of training, having a spotter was also not a normal thing for a lot of American troops. So when you look at the Russians and the Germans, they most certainly started working in shooter-observer pairs. So that one German in the bell tower, well, that could be correct because they were pretty strapped for personnel. He typically would understand an observer working with him more so than Jackson on the base level. On top of that, he was also shooting uphill too. Uphill into a bell tower at 400 with, I don't know what zero he was using. He also freshly took his optic. Well, no. All right. I do think the optic system on these things are pretty interesting for its era because the Germans also had their tall turret mounts, which you would twist a rifle scope in and then lock into the back. And the M1903a4 mount is similar to that. You can remove a screw and remove the entire optic. The problem then, you have no sights to use. Because that's the idea behind the German ones, is that you could remove the optic and safely stow it in a carrying can so you don't damage your optic in the field and quickly attach it and use it in the field. You don't have that option here. You could argue what Private Jackson did, which was loosen the screw and twisted the optic off to put a new optic on, which would then be somewhat zeroed to the rifle. But again, nobody did that. The Marines with their universal scopes, which that was made to resemble, those were forward mounted, and you couldn't just twist them off. They wouldn't just twist them off and twist a new optic on, especially not right before a shot with no zero confirmation.
Right.
Shooting uphill at 400 yards.
Now, you alluded to this earlier, but doctrinally, the U.S. sniper in World War II versus, let's say, like the Soviet or the German sniper in World War II was sort of like potentially utilized differently, was trained differently, was possibly less developed into the program or the use case if we consider now. I know when we've looked at some of the other World War II options, we explored like what the engagement distances were for those rifles that were considered standard or normal. And if I recall correctly, like almost everything was well inside of 400, right? With 400 sort of being like max that people would be taking shots. Is that, first of all, is that am I remembering accurately for some of these other systems like the Germans or the Russians, for example?
Yeah, the Germans and the Russians, they expected kills at 400.
Okay.
They expected harassing fire up to like 6 or 8.
Okay.
But that was well documented for the Germans and the Russians.
And even then, I recall there being like the high volume of engagements was still inside of that pocket of 400, right?
High volume inside 200.
Got it. So when you consider that, like, do you have the data on what the U.S. doctrine was for implementation of this platform? Because I could see the sighting system choice and like the not having holdovers or being able, or even the magnification being far less, to be more suited towards, let's say, a 0 to 300 pocket where you go, yeah, okay, like this is doable because there's very little deviation in the height of the flight of the projectile.
Yeah, I mean, sort of. But then once I start looking at actual period German glass, like these Zeiss optics, they're great. I mean, it's only a 4x. I mean, it's not that much more than this. And you have iron sights. So the combination of the two makes that much more flexible.
Well, doesn't that also have turret adjustment?
Yes.
Yeah, so
yes.
So I guess what I'm saying is, like, yes, obviously, technologically, that appears far more advanced. But when it came down to actual implementation, like, you were able to take that Mauser and shoot it at 1K and collect
Yes.
hits, right? Don't think
we have
could-
another one coming out.
I don't think we're doing that with the 03A4. Like, you could luck your way into potentially doing it, but it seems to me extremely unlikely that you could do it in any sort of repeatable fashion. But
I would agree.
does that matter? Is it in line? Was the rifle and the doctrine behind it basically just a marksman's rifle inside of 300 yards as opposed to a precision rifle or a sniper rifle? That's sort of what I'm driving to here, and it's a question I don't know the
Okay.
answer to.
I think I see what you're saying. Yes, I think it certainly filled the role of what we know as a designated marksman more so than it did an actual sniper's role from back in the day, which I think the movie Saving Private Ryan has gotten a lot of convoluted ideas of the U.S. sniper because of how Barry Pepper portrayed Jackson. On top of that, I would say having not really fixed, but you can't quickly adjust the turrets, or it wasn't designed to be quickly adjusted because the Weaver 330C was most certainly externally adjusted, but not really designed to be doing that. I think it most certainly lends itself to be much more useful at that 200-300 meter distance. Yes, I would agree with you on that. But then looking back at the quality of glass, that's the biggest question on, if you really don't have that light transmission, you really don't have that image really developed out. Why? Why do this? Like that was one of the big complaints about. You remember the ZF-41 sniper scope on the German rifle? That was a lot of the complaints for those guys. Like that actually had an elevation dial too. But why did they not like that? I mean, it's just the image quality there.
Makes sense.
But then even that, you could fall back to your iron sights and use iron sights, and that's the biggest thing here is, modern days we have such great optics that a lot of people decide to just completely omit backup iron sights. But that's on a basis that we have really good, reliable,
really good optics, right?
Optics.
Yeah. So, follow-on question then. We've done and you've had conversations about sniper tier listing, like World War II sniper tier lists in the past. Where does this one fall in your tier list? Is this
D.
the bottom?
D.
This is D
D tier. Yes. Well, maybe D tier is pretty harsh because it actually still works. I mean, D tier would be something like D for dysfunctional, right? D tier would be so bad that it doesn't even work. So this is C minus, I would say, like barely making the C list. Like, yeah, you probably would survive the war with this. You'd be okay, but just a slight bit better glass would give you a higher chance of living through the.
So what you're telling me is that
break.
the reality of the situation of Jackson versus the bell tower is the bell tower massively advantaged based on the technology, right?
Look, let's look at it from a modern perspective. The guy in the bell tower is essentially he's using a very good rifle, and German snipers did have sniper ammunition, although logistically we don't know. Logistically it was a mess for the Wehrmacht at that point. Glass was excellent. It was either Zeiss, Kales, Ayak, top tier glass. You're looking at a 4x optic, and he's also shooting downhill with a commanding view of what's going on. I saw nothing obstructing his view. On the bottom, you had this dingling PFC who decided to swap his optic out to a 10x longer optic. We don't know if it's zeroed. He's shooting uphill. He's using ball M2 ammunition. He is not in the most ideal location. He's not undercover. He's been soaked in rain. I mean, maybe that's why the David and Goliath story here, the story here is kind of like a David versus Goliath because he is so disadvantaged, and in the movie he still won. But in real life, that's not a place you want to be. That is not a place you want to be. disadvantaged in equipment, location, and even shooting uphill. And the reason I'm bringing the uphill shooting so much is because you have no elevation adjustment here. You don't know how far high you're arcing that projectile in order to get it into the bell tower. And you have no reference point on top of the bell tower to really put your crosshair to know how far you're arcing the projectile down. It's just bad news bears all around for Jackson, to be honest.
Well, there you have it.
Well, I will say one more thing. Even if he didn't switch his optic out, I think did they hit the radar station before they hit the bell tower?
I don't think so. I think it was the other way around. No,
okay,
maybe
all right.
it is. I don't remember. Oh, man.
Look, regardless, you remember that radar station assault?
Yeah.
Okay, so your translator, your little dweeby terp dude wants to stay back and observe everyone assault the machine gun. Terrible option to begin with. Assaulting a machine gun, frontal assault against a machine gun nest is not necessarily preached in U.S. military circles these days. But without covering fire, by the way. And so you hand him, what? The rifle to observe, right? No. You remember what he does? He removes the optic off of the rifle to observe. Why? What? That is like, when I watch that, I'm like, there is zero reason for you to remove that optic off of the rifle. You could... that is the danger zone to begin with. If you see an enemy machine gunner with the optic tagged onto the rifle, you know what you should do? You're supposed to shoot them. So taking a sniper's optic off of his rifle, which is not a good optic to begin with, so I don't know why you're not using binos to look at it, because clearly Miller is a captain and he has binos. That whole scene made zero sense to me. From the planning of the assault, the idea that you were going to do a frontal assault on the machine gun, the fact that you would then hand your sniper stuff, strip your sniper down to just grenades and a pistol, and give his sniper rifle to the dingaling to sit in the back, remove the sniper's optic, which is a poor optic to begin with, to do what?
All right, so what I'm hearing here, Henry, is for those of you who are in the comments who have made it this far in the episode, okay, let us know down below if you'd like Henry to do breakdowns of scenes from movies dissecting what is and isn't good. And also let us know about a tier list, okay? Maybe a World War II tier list. If there's enough comments requesting it, I'm going to maybe force Henry to do it. You know? I think that this is reasonable.
All right. Well, thank you for sticking around. I shall contain my dissatisfaction just slightly.
Do all the great YouTube stuff, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Join us over in the Patreon and hop into the private Discord. And until next time, we'll see you on the range.
This is Steel Knight 6, 4 Vic, 8 packs, Redcon 1, green to green, how copy, over.
Steel Knight 6, this is 716, roger, over. 1 6, Steel Knight 1, 1 pack, green, over. This is 716, roger, over.
1 6, Steel Knight 2, 1 Victor, 2 packs, Redcon 1.